Hello. Hello.
You want to sit at the table? You're welcome to. You don't have to. Totally up to you. Please.
That's when you can hear us.
Hello.
Laura, I see Jennifer.
What?
I think that phone number is Maria.
Yes.
Wonderful.
And Jennifer is coming up from Delaware and not sure she's going to have service.
Looking for the agenda.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, you sit right here. Yeah, it's front and center. Yeah. Everything.
I think we met a couple times going out there.
Oh, guys. Really?
Oh,
All right. So. All right, so today is the Provincetown Harbor Committee meeting of Wednesday, June 11th at 2 p.m. in Caucus Hall, Town Hall. In accordance with Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, this meeting will be conducted in person as a courtesy via remote means in accordance with the law. Join the meeting remotely, click the Teams link in the agenda. Otherwise, to call in, dial 857-327-9004, phone conference ID, sorry, to dial in manually 833-579-7589, phone conference ID 829-080-181 pound. To participate during public comment on the Teams link, raise hand to be called on to speak. Phone, speak your name clearly to be called on to speak. If you're on the phone, you can also *6 to unmute. So present for today's meeting in the room, we have Mia Kligo-Perlt here and Michaela Murphy. And online, we have Laura McCluskey.
Here.
We have Maria Morelli.
Yeah. Hi, here.
And we have Jennifer Shiwi.
yes, we get about 15 minutes.
Hello.
All right. So we'll move you.
Yeah, move your back a little bit.
Okay, perfect. All right. All right. Is there anyone for public comment? I do not see.
And I just checked the hall to make sure because the door was closed.
Okay.
So no one's up.
I don't see anyone for public comment. All right, so we will move 2 and 3 to the end of the meeting. And we will go, well, actually, first, before we go into the harbor master report, yesterday, we had a peer meeting. Mike Rigo is going to be chair, Paul Milliken is going to be vice chair. We had talked about our lack of meetings, and we had sort of all agreed that the harbor pier meetings had gone very well, and we were hoping to do quarterly harbor pier kind of collaboration meetings. I think those have been good. So maybe we'll do our first one in the fall when
Yeah.
things are quiet.
And I would, did you guys discuss your meeting schedule at all?
We haven't really.
So I would recommend that those quarterly joint meetings just fall on our meeting schedule. Because
Okay.
it's so that they join our meeting if
Perfect.
possible.
Yeah,
Just that way, I think it's more likely to actually happen.
great. Okay. Yeah, we can figure out a
Yeah.
good time in September. I don't want to like overburden people in the summer.
Yeah.
Then the other thing that came out of that meeting is we formed a subcommittee, which we're hoping to do a joint pier and harbor subcommittee for discussing the possibility of the town purchasing 16 McMillan Wharf, which is the Whittam Museum. So myself, Mike Chute, and Caitlin from Pier are on that. Is there anyone here who would be interested in being on a sort of an exploratory board? And what that basically means is that we'll be putting together a memo. We're hoping that we can, Foth Engineering, who has already done a feasibility study for the pier and has kind of told us what improvements we need to make, will be able to expand their scope of work for, a smaller amount of money rather than having to put out an RFP, and we could use the Harbor Gift Fund for that. And that we would put together an options of what it could be used for. There's housing there, there are slips, there could be a dinghy dock, there could be a courtesy float, there could be, blue economy workspace, there could be fish offloading. There's a lot of different options for it, cannery. So figure out what the needs are, maybe put out a survey to the fishermen, see how many
Yeah.
of them were actually be interested in using it as a fish base. If not, a ferry terminal. But to me, it doesn't make sense that the town doesn't own that.
No, and I mean, I think no matter what, a committee to check the feasibility
Mhm.
is the right thing to, so I'd be happy to join.
Great. So, Marty's not here. I did want to ask him to join as well because he's very good at funding resources, but I don't want to nominate him without asking.
Well, why
him.
don't we just,
So right now, I'll make a motion to expand the Pier 16 McMillan subcommittee to Harbor as well and nominate Mia Cliggott-Perlt to serve on that subcommittee. Is there anyone else who would like to join?
Maybe in the
Hmm?
fall.
yeah,
Maybe in the fall, but I can't this summer.
So right now, I'll just make a motion to nominate Mia. Is there a second?
Second.
I think that's
Laura, second?
yes.
Okay, great. So all in favor, Michaela, yes. Mia,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Maria,
Yes.
and Jennifer.
Yes.
And I will talk to Marty and see if he is open to that. If he is open to it, I'm going to make a motion that he be allowed to join if he is open to it, just so we don't have to wait another 2 weeks if it's.
Yeah.
So I'll make a motion that if Marty Racine is amenable to joining, that he be included. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Mia, second. All in favor? Michaela, yes.
Mia, yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Maria,
Yes.
and Jennifer.
Yes.
All right. So that is all we have on that, and we
Michaela.
will, yes.
Did you ask about doing a weekly or daily or monthly fee for transient?
I did ask Jamie and he was not into it at the moment. But he said if we want to do that, we can. We need to talk to town staff. So if it's cool with town staff, we can do it.
Yeah, Maria, DJ and I, are now that the next meeting of
Yeah.
the peer committee, DJ and I can work with you, Maria, to hone what we would offer instead of just the annual permits. Because the advice that I got from our smart clerk was that we, as a committee, come up with very specific language and very
Okay.
specific, fees and offerings. And so why don't you, me and DJ sidebar on exactly what we think it could be? And then once the peer committee discusses and votes on it, then we have to put it, I think United Heart Mary, we have to put it in the paper and we essentially have to advertise like the full offering and then have a hearing about the full offering. And then we can, the select board can vote on it. So let's, you, me and DJ can make that our project this week and next. And then Michaela will let us know when the next peer committee is scheduled.
There seems to be a frustration from the pure lack of wanting to get other things rolling until the things that have been in motion have been completed. I think that there's some frustration.
Right. Jamie and I talked about that, but this is only a benefit for the peer.
Right. And that was what I was trying to voice. So we have a new chair, and so I think that maybe the new chair will be more amenable.
I'm very happy to work with the new chair to show them that we can walk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
really
and he
just,
knows. I love
Oh,
him.
no.
Yeah.
Make it a paper towel.
All right, thank you.
oh,
Here,
Michaela, there's some,
public note that all meeting rooms in town hall have paper towels in them. And
in case dogs.
which, you know what? That's happening. If you got-
Just
so you got-
while we're on the subject too, I know we had talked about forming subcommittees to edit the
Harbor
harbor
regs.
regs and the
Yes.
pier reg. I think because we made sure that the previous edits that Maria informed us about, we made sure that those have been updated in the regs. So, I don't think any edits we would make would come into effect, other than those, because they were old,
Yeah.
come into effect this season. So I would be
Right.
fine with that process starting in September.
Yeah, I think,
But I just want to keep that kind of,
I was thinking,
I just want us to remember. to do
yeah,
that.
no. So I was thinking that in September,
Oh, at our first joint meeting.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
that we would, that would be sort of like the first order of business at our first joint meeting.
And I think we agreed on, there'd be two subcommittees, one for pier, one for harbor. And the pier subcommittee for the pier regs.
Yeah.
That subcommittee would have members of harbor and pier, but the subcommittee for the harbor regs would just have members of harbor. Is what we had talked about. But-
So I also have had a thought on that we could have, rather than having two separate subcommittees, we could have a focus group that would incorporate other stakeholders
Okay.
so like that there could be, maybe a representative from Shellfish,
Yeah.
from Harbor, from from Pier, from some
Yeah.
fishermen, like that we could have people,
Yeah,
like
we just need-
essentially a stakeholder specific.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a stakeholders meeting, but I think we have a stakeholders meeting and then there's a focus group that works with town staff to update the regulations.
Yeah, I think that works.
Cause I think it's more than just harbor and pier.
Oh, I
Yeah.
totally agree.
Yeah.
We were getting caught
Like
up
getting
on-
Noah and Malcolm.
We were getting kind of caught up. I only came up with that plan because we were getting, for some reason, caught up on the purview
Yeah,
of pier versus harbor.
Yeah.
And we kind of decided that harbor could be involved on all of it, but pier should maybe only be
Yeah.
involved on the pier regs. But I think having outside people on both makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense.
so maybe having a focus group, and I think I would have to check with Liz Payne, but I believe that we would just have to ask the select board,
Yeah,
to institute like a temporary focus group to do that.
I mean, it would probably still just be an ad hoc committee,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it'd be like crab or any,
yeah.
original crab.
Yeah. So I will reach out to Liz. I would like to get Jim Vincent, involved in that, obviously. So I'll talk to him about who he thinks would be,
Yeah.
best
Yeah.
for doing that.
Okay.
But then maybe each board can nominate one person. And then.
Yeah, well, as long as we know we have everything figured out that we need to figure out until the fall,
Yes.
I think we're good.
Yeah. I don't think that there's anything pressing
No.
on that. Is there, Pete?
The thing that we are most actively managing, of course, is our favorite topic, the dinghy dump.
Yeah.
So happy to provide an update on that, and we could use that as a model for how we're within the current regs.
Sure.
And so, you know, when convenient for you, we can move to a detailed presentation, and then when Jim's back.
I think also if the pier and harbor staff, if there is any like glaring inconsistency in the current regs that are making it hard to like enforce something, we should be able to do like a singular edit and vote on it.
The only such object is correct language for the insurance that protects the town from wrecked vessel.
Okay.
So that paper still working with American
Yeah.
lawyers on, but I will have language for you hopefully next meeting. Then we can get on the select board's next meeting,
Yeah.
and then we,
Great.
by July, I want that specific, very specific legalese
Yeah.
ironed out, because we can begin enforcing that.
Perfect.
Great.
Yeah.
Jim, while you were gone, we were talking about, in the fall, putting together like an ad hoc focus group for updating, for maybe representative from Pier, from Harbor, from Shellfish, for updating the harbor regs. And whatever you think would be most helpful in terms of that composition of the board. But I think, there's people who are not on either board, like Noah or Malcolm, who would have good ideas, who could potentially join that temporary board for a temporary time.
Yeah, I think you definitely want a mix of town staff. Because we'll do
Yeah.
the drafting usually,
Yeah,
and then you'll look, sometimes it's best to just have something to work with. Like we have the current, if there's obvious things up, get rid of the pier board every place we see it. I mean, some of it is obvious, but if there's big issues that you're thinking about, just put them right up front. But other than that, have the staff will do a draft and present it to the board, to the committee.
so do you think having a ad hoc committee or just a public engagement focus group is better?
I think to start having an ad hoc committee with the staff and say, what are the main topics that need to be changed? Then to do a redraft to present to the committees
Right.
and then figure out, okay, now we have to do the.
Right.
And the public may come up with more things, but having, usually at the end, probably the end of, look toward end of September, October, when things are calming down, to have that end of year meeting like we did last year, and also make it a reg rewrite meeting to say, look, we're also looking at the reg changes, and these are the things we're looking at right now.
Mhm.
Does anybody, what do people think about it? You get a sense of like, who's gonna flip out or.
Yeah,
But I think for now, we can just plan to establish the ad hoc committee. And then obviously, when you establish the committee, you don't need to know all potential members. But I think our plan should be establishing the ad hoc committee at whenever the joint harbor and pier meeting is in the fall. And
I'm gonna check with Liz Payne as to whether or not we can establish the ad hoc committee or whether it has to be a select board.
Generally, it would, it depends, actually.
I think if
So
it's,
check.
I think if it's not just a subcommittee from these two boards, if it's,
Then we would need.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a subcommittee, I'd call it a working group.
Yeah.
And that way it avoids all the legalist stuff, and you don't want to jump through.
yeah, like for nominating.
Yeah, to have set up a meeting, you just call and say, hey, can you meet on Thursday? Good, you don't have to post it, it's not a public meeting, it's a working group.
Okay,
And then you bring it back to the.
Yeah.
public
Okay.
meetings. So that way the public's still involved, but you actually get stuff done. You know,
Yeah,
spend all this time posting the meetings and.
Yeah.
uh,
yeah.
So I think a working group is a better way to,
Okay,
I'll just call it that, and then
perfect,
you don't have to do all this other stuff.
great. Right, Jim, if you are short on time, do you want to do your presentation, or DJ, if you're short on time? Do yours? I don't
I'm good.
know
Yeah.
where you guys are at.
Well, what did you want to hear from me first? I mean, I've got some stuff to bring up, but if you have some specifics.
We had two agenda items for you, chapter 91 working group and the harbor access fund discussion, but if you also wanted to bring up anything else, we can make this the Jim Vincent.
Okay, well, the chapter 91, I think, is probably the focus of, and, you know, we've talked about some of this before, but things are actually moving. You know, obviously the compliance assistance plan, we're using that specific term, compliance assistance, not enforcement, not, you know, because the reality is we don't have any authority
Right,
to
Well, I think
enforce
that's-
anything, so we have to work under the harbor regs and the harbor plan, which gives the harbor committee, and at the time it was the marine coordinator, I think Rex, and were in charge of monitoring the current licenses. So we've started doing that. We did 3. I don't know if you guys have been updated on any of that, but we did visited 3 chapter 91 licenses, and they all had some compliance issues. But we're really not making this the gotcha. Want to stay business friendly, and we're here to help them come into compliance. And, you know, so we're pretty much going to write up a report. We're still looking at how formal we want this to be. We're trying to keep it, once again, business friendly, and we don't want to. And we had all 3 of them. We had Barry Clifford, we had Ben DeRuyter, and then Tim McNulty. All 3 were very pleasant, and I think it was the way that we approached it. We didn't, you know, we were like, we're here to help you. You're all going to have to get chapter 91 licenses because they're all 30 years, and they're coming up. So they're going to come through the process again.
And 16 McMillan comes up in 2030.
Is it?
Well, I will double check that.
It might be, but
Yeah.
they have to start coming up.
Yeah.
They've got compliance issues there. Like, I think it's supposed to be a dinghy dock.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be public access.
Yeah.
This is supposed to be transient use of those spaces, not supposed to sell them or rent them for the whole season. So there's stuff like that. But, you know, I think mainly, you know, the focus of these pieces is what is the harbor committee's role? And I think that's what, you know, what are we doing with the harbor plan? This piece, the harbor plan really lays out a whole bunch of stuff. And this piece of it spends a lot of time in there talking about chapter 91. I think the real role that the harbor committee can have is twofold. The first one is when new chapter 91 licenses come up and there's public benefits that are up for discussion and usually I want them on site. Do these fit for the site? Is this a good, you know, do we need that in this location? Or is it like, we don't really need this here, or coming up with some other recommendation that we would send to DEP? And so, you know, this group would advise kind of the chapter 91 working group of like, this is what we'd like to see. So when it's a public hearing, we've already thought about it. We've talked about it.
Yeah.
And you kind of know like, okay, this is what we know. This is what we would like in this location. So that would be the first piece. And the second piece is, as we're looking at all the licenses that all the properties that are not licensed, how can we focus on some of them that the harbor plan identifies as kind of high priority? You know, like in the harbor plan, they have what's called a beach walk. And, you know, which basically one section of it extends from Fisherman's Pier, or Legacy's Pier now, whatever, I don't know what he calls it. It's still Fisherman's Pier.
Yeah, I still call it
I
Cabral.
still fish.
Yeah.
They built it, it's Cabral's.
Yeah.
So that, you know, the beach walk's supposed to extend all the way to Court Street, and start creating these harbor loops where you're getting people onto the beaches, to extend all the way down. And obviously there's challenges with boobalas and Old Reliable Fish House, and, you know, that you're supposed to be able to walk under 5 feet under a pier or up and over is what DEP is going to require. So looking at all these properties, how do we get these into compliance with a beach walk? How do we get those So you would, you know,
Where would this beach walk, how would that get funded or?
they would have to put it in. It'd be part of their license condition
Yeah.
that they would have to maintain a beach walk in their section of beach.
Would this be like a contiguous?
Yeah. And it could just be one of these Moby mats, or it could be boardwalk, or it could, I mean, it could be a, you know, a combination of things. I don't know how explicit they got in the harbor plan, but this is just an example of what the committee could focus on. Which properties would bring the most public benefits?
Mhm.
Like, you know, one of them that comes up is the Provincetown Inn. That property does not have, it has a license for the fill, but it never
Yeah.
had a license for the buildings. So it's like, that's a problem. That's, I don't know if the new owners know that, but you know, that means that big parcel is gonna have to come under state review, which means the committee would get involved in like, well, what would we want to see down there? You know, a lot of people say we need a year-round pool, or we need, you know, but but those are the
Yeah.
conversations that come up, and people believe that that's condition of a license, but it's not. It was never, they don't have one, as far as I couldn't find one. It wasn't anything. The state had. So part of this is the committee just coming together and focusing on, and I'm gonna get involved Thaddeus on this too as the planner, and say like, hey, let's look at this section of town, these 5 or 6 or 10 properties that all need licenses. Now, usually you have one license that comes in over here, and then one way over there. I mean, we have an opportunity where you have like a stretch of, you know, 20 or 30 properties where 15 of them might need licenses.
Yeah.
So thinking in a bigger way of like, what can we do with all
Yeah.
these properties that, you know, like, for example, if you look at Siemens Bank and the canteen. Now both of them are gonna, you know, the state wants direct access from both of them to the harbor.
Hmm.
Well, what if they put a walkway between, right up in the middle of the, you know, right on the ends of the property, so you have a, you know, instead of a 3-foot wide walkway here and a 3-foot wide walkway here,
Yeah.
you have a 6 or 7-foot wide walkway that runs, you know, kind of like they did at Benesi's, you know, they created a
Mhm.
walkway between. So it's starting to look at it differently than the state usually is like, here's one project, okay, we'll work on that. You know, we have an opportunity to look at, we have hundreds of properties that have to get licenses. And so part of this is trying to get those applicants moving. And the committee can help decide like what's most important, you know, what areas, you know, and I think having a upcoming meeting where we take a little time and look at the different areas with Thaddeus, and lay out some maps and go, well, here's an area where if we really focused on this area, these would be the benefits. This is where you could really bring new life to this area, like Harbor Loop, you know, all the way over to the Whalers Wharf and shoot it down. That'll connect up with the Pier Hotel whenever that gets built. And, you know, just starting to think about what is the harbor plan? The vision was back then. And some of the, you know, like we were talking earlier, some of the harbor plan it's not really pertinent anymore. And some of it is. And so figuring out what is as a committee, what do they want to focus on? And also the working group, so you'll be working with the working group on, right? How do we, you know, we'll just look at this one area and say, okay, what can we do with this? What would be really amazing in this area? And you know, in the East End even, there's going to be other opportunities. When you have 2 or 3 properties together, that's when you're like, okay, these would be, you know, maybe they could have, you know, some other public area that's bigger because it has more space. So that would be so those are the 2 roles when applications come up, and then looking at the harbor plan and figuring out, okay, what's the vision there that's still pertinent, and then kind of, and you're already starting, as you're talking about 16 McMillan Pier, for example, and looking at the opportunities there, you're going beyond the scope of the harbor plan, but that's normal. It's like things that was done 5-6 years ago, and like things have changed, and so you're already starting to work on the next harbor plan. Even if you're not formally doing it, you're developing these working groups, you're developing these concepts, you're looking at feasibility of something. So then it becomes working together on those pieces, just figuring out what does the committee want to work on. But so the meeting would be more, once we decide on what areas, That would be probably an upcoming meeting. Then we'd just have a focus session on like, okay, let's really look at this area, have some really good maps and look at, what are the challenges and opportunities in that area. So it would get more, like it'd actually be movement, like it would actually be what do we want to, who do we want to nudge forward? Because we can't force anyone to get a license.
Yeah.
But we do have the coastal resiliency piece now, where basically of those properties that don't have a Chapter 91 license are going to have a real problem. If there's damage to their wall and they don't have a license for it, they can't just repair it. They're going to have to wait. They have to go through a longer process. Right now, if you have a wall that's damaged, you can get emergency relief, but when you don't even have a license, it complicates the whole.
Yeah.
So we want to use that as.
Can I ask what, just in terms of thinking about the two parts, what is the process right now for a new application? Like, what would the timeline look like of town staff coming to our committee and saying, hey, there's this new application, we want your input on if these regs make sense for them? So what would that look like?
Usually it would come, I think they send a copy to Pete as the harbor master, the select board, so usually it'll come in downstairs, the community development.
From the
And
DEP.
here's a new, right, and they will be saying, we're gonna hold a public hearing. And so we would want to definitely be at the public hearing, but we want to meet before that.
Yeah.
All right, here's what they're looking at. And the state's gonna want to, there's a whole, it's gonna take it's a long process.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm curious about, because I want to make sure that, because I think at least it makes total sense that any new application that as many people as possible get their eyes on it.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great idea that anytime there's a new application, this board is
Yeah. And
allowed to give feedback to town staff.
it should be,
Yeah, so I mean, the way I would assume it would operate is it would just be put on the agenda for our next meeting, and hopefully that would time out. And it would be, the application could be sent.
yeah, it just has to be
That's-
sent, there's a public comment period after
Yeah.
the public 30 days, I think it is. And so we can submit written comments after the public hearing and, going to the public hearing list, and we can make statements if this committee's already decided, like, we really like this, and this about the proposal. We don't like this. Because usually what you'll see is the applicants do not want people walking through the property, and they'll do
Yeah.
everything they can.
Yeah.
But some of the properties are great. They really should be.
And I think, even more so than Riverwalk is great and access and clarifying places that there are access, like in the East End, there's quite a few spots that people don't even know that they can get down to. But, with bigger properties like 227R, the old Reliable with one commercial, Provincetown Inn, like what is the best bang for a buck for that? Like what are the best community uses for those?
Right.
Like whether it's public bathrooms, whether it's public showers, whether it's, having a large dinghy dock at the old Reliable that people like. The Captain Jack's has like a very small dinghy dock that you can tie up to, but maybe there's more access for people. There's a lot of boats in the West Side mooring field that could, if there was a West Side dinghy dock, you wouldn't have to tie up traffic in that way. So maybe having an area for 10 or 15 dinghies at the old Reliable Pier would be a great use of that.
And it's like, and figuring that out, the Shellfish Committee might have some, like I know, Captain Jackson, I think Molly Benjamin was the only person that used that for years, but people, if they knew about it, they'd use it.
Yeah, and that's the thing is people don't know about it. So maybe even on our harbor website, we could have a running list of what or the fact that you can use the boat slip for meetings on a Tuesday and
Yeah.
like that people don't know. Yeah, that's part of their Chapter 91 license is you can have meetings.
I'm seeing here. Maria.
So I think that
Nonprofit That'd be
Yeah.
awesome.
That could be something that we could look into, is
Yeah.
putting together like a sort of interactive map.
Well, I think just in terms of time today.
Yeah,
I think what we've figured out from my understanding is that anytime there's a new application that comes in, it'll be sent to our committee. And if we have time to add it to the agenda formally for our next meeting, we can. If not, it can be any other business during that meeting.
Yeah.
But no matter what, we just need let's say the committee needs like 48, 72 hours
yeah,
just to be sent before our next
Yeah.
meeting. And then the other thing I think is that once town staff comes up with more of like a specific project on like, oh, we're looking at this block of Commercial Street and these 15 people don't have licenses, we're thinking about this project. I think just in terms of, I don't articulate myself, but right now we're just like reaching out a million different ideas.
Yeah.
And I think there needs to be some more structure before
Yeah.
we can really get involved as a committee to actually.
so I think Melissa seems to have a pretty good handle, Melissa Nickerson, on those projects from conservation, if is that my understanding, that she's kind of been in?
Yeah, she's involved in it, although conservation is not, is not the same. It's not the same permit, and it's so, every permit that chapter 91 needs will need a conservation commission.
Oh, I thought that she compiled a list.
It is on the website.
Okay,
And we do have a new intern this summer that's gonna help us.
okay,
And they're gonna be working on, part of what they're gonna do is starting to get the website up to date on where are the public benefits, and,
okay,
to really
Yeah.
let people know, like, you can use this restroom. You
Yeah.
can find a dock here, these are public access that were, allow these people to live on
Yeah.
state property, basically. So I think, but I hear what you're saying, that it'd be more helpful to have town staff to come and say, we want to look at this section of town. What do you guys think
yeah,
Yeah.
about this? And have it more focused instead of,
Yeah.
look at the whole harbor and.
Yeah.
And just, in terms of, I think that makes more sense, but I think definitely starting at this point, anytime there's a new application, I think it totally makes sense that we're involved in the process, no matter what.
so I just want to be cognizant of everyone's time here, so why don't we leave it for now, that when the next time that there is, or when the intern compiles a list of like the most prominent ones, that we will set up kind of a work session to look at
Mhm.
those. And then rather than talking about it sort of like in a grand scheme of things.
Because we can always, that work session can always also be established at any of our existing.
Yeah, we
meetings.
could have like set up a work session specifically to do on this. I know that I want to be cognizant of town staff, all of you guys having this, and so,
No, I appreciate that, because I do have to run.
yeah.
But does anybody have any questions?
Well, we had one other agenda item for you, which is the Harbor Access Gift Fund. And just. That's for.
No.
So Jim, for yours, to catch you up, we had a great presentation with Nick. Robertson, last meeting in which we talked through these, the funding, exactly. It's identified that the Harbor Access Fund, can be spent with the Board of Select vote on recommendation from the Harbor Committee, and it currently has $117,000 in it. And so, wanted to get your feedback on great projects that you've seen other town departments succeed in, that, fall within that budget, timing horizons, that sort of thing.
Well, when we're looking at feasibility study for 16,
Mhm.
that, using this for consultant to help zoom in on a specific area or a project that we need more attention on, or when we get into looking at Harbor League, we could get a consultant to do that too. Because frankly, this town staff doesn't have all the town resources.
Yeah.
So I think using that as for consultants, and then, other emergency repairs, other immediate needs for, you know, I think looking at, relooking at signage again. Like, you know, I know they've talked about this for years. I mean, it seems like every 4 or 5 years, we need new signs. They all look the
Yeah.
same. And
Yeah.
So relooking at, like, you know, having take the time to do it right and really hire a
Yeah.
graphic artist that's gonna do a kick-ass sign that's like, people, it's gonna be so obvious that this is a harbor access so that everybody sees the symbol. And it's, you know, from the water, this way, you know, so, you know, taking that a little more time and spending
Yeah.
some of that money on a kick-ass.
Does the pier need any money for, from us on any kind of projects? Cause I know that there seems to have been a little, resentment from members of the Peer Commission yesterday that some of the work that they thought was being done in the spring hadn't been done, like safety ladders and boards.
Yeah,
I don't-
I know that those are they're on the list of things to get done. It's just, they didn't get.
Yeah,
they didn't get done yet.
but is that financial issues or?
That you could, but you know, you really want to try to keep the spirit of, that money is supposed to, you know, chaperoning when it's about public access. So is this allowing the public?
Well, like, for example, one of the commissioners said that he had to nail down a board because there was a woman who was walking on the pier and said, hey, there's a hole in the pier. And so making it
Yeah,
it's
that's,
safer for people to
yeah,
walk.
this money shouldn't be spent. That should come out of the peer money.
Okay, I just want to make sure that there is enough pier money for the.
Oh, no, there should be. And that's, if somebody
Yeah.
didn't fix the hole properly, then that's another issue that we.
Okay, I just wanna,
But no, there's money to do that type
Okay.
of stuff. And even, you know, we'll get our guys down.
okay,
It's an emergency type thing. But, you know, trying to keep this focused on public access, like even with the consulting for the 60 million, you're looking for public, you know, this is to get more public
Yeah.
access to this building to get more. So, you know, that one kind of fits into this
Okay.
enough.
Yeah.
But, you know, just trying to use the money for the intended purpose as
Okay.
best you can. Sometimes they'll let you loosen
yeah,
a little bit, but using it for consultants will be, because we, you know, I think you see like this, you know, we all have great ideas and then, well, who follows through with it?
yeah,
You know, and the consultant would be following through with,
yeah,
and that may be the piece that's been missing. So I'm glad we have that much money in there.
Yeah.
That's a good,
yeah.
good sign that we have a buffer to.
So I don't know if this needs to be a motion, but I would like to use some of this money for, once you talk to Foth, to see if that's something that they can expand. That could be at another meeting. And also for Jen Bushman, because I think having her on board as a strategist for what that space could be used and for private funding mechanisms, I think that she's just like mind-blowingly smart in
Yep.
terms of what best uses and has so much experience on other things. So once we have an idea from Foth about whether or not they can expand, maybe on our next agenda, we could talk about recommending to the select board so Jennifer Bushman is a sustainable seafood educator and lobbyist
So, but what space is this for?
for 16
Okay,
McMillan.
yeah,
So if Foth is able to expand their work, and if we would be able to use some money to hire Jen Bushman as a consultant.
but is that something what we're establishing an ad hoc committee, right? So presumably that's something the ad hoc committee and we would vote?
The ad hoc committee would recommend to the harbor committee. I think the vote has to come from the harbor committee.
Okay, but so we can't do anything until we establish that ad hoc.
Correct. I'm just saying that's a
Yeah.
suggestion. We have established that.
Probably a working group.
Subcommittee.
Again, I would.
Huh?
You're on. We've established the subcommittee.
Okay. Just, I'm like, yeah, we gotta do that first, yeah.
We've already done that.
So
So,
we need,
but yes.
the committee needs to meet.
right. So the committee needs to meet and then, but that is something that I would like to talk about using the money for.
Yeah.
All right. Is there anything else, Jim, that you wanted to talk
I
about?
don't think so. I just, you know, I think as the summer is not really the best time for everybody to meet,
Mhm.
but.
Yeah,
But as, you know, looking toward the fall of like, you know.
Yeah.
kind of getting refocused on what is the mission of the committee? What is the committee, and just having specific tasks where it feels like there's actually progress and stuff.
yeah,
It feels like, didn't we just talk about all this and, you know, things get done, but they don't, they
Yeah.
don't feel like it's.
I think,
they don't
yeah.
feel like it's
And I think we all have so many ideas
Yeah.
about how we could be using chapter 91 to our advantage,
Yeah,
to the point where it's like almost obviously is overwhelming.
yeah,
No, it is, and to help, I think that I hear what you say about getting the staff to focus on what are some of the areas that
yeah,
biggest bang for the buck, and that way we're not spending, 10 hours on, I don't know, I like this area.
yeah.
Let's start with this area. What do you
Yeah.
think about
Yeah.
this area? I think that'll be better use of time.
Okay, great. All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You're up.
DJ, you wanna hop into your?
I think so. Very quickly, let me just go through department report.
Yep.
We have activity in the harbor. Any questions about recent activity?
Date on the seahorse?
Oh, not found. Coast Guard is still running a search. So we swept the harbor and Hammett ourselves with our vessels yesterday morning and have not heard.
Yeah, Coast Guard's been calling out, but
Yeah.
nothing.
Upcoming events, Let's Go to Fleet, obviously, met with Coast Guard and with Charlie Souza. And you're gonna have a great boat parade. I hope all of you have a chance to be out on boats.
So you're not bringing up the boat from Chatham this year because it's too.
No, that boat is not gonna be moving much, and they're gonna move it into a museum.
Oh,
Actually, they're raising money to build a museum on site. The Payment Todd will be the lead boat on the first side this year. And if any of you want to volunteer on a harbor master boat for the blessing of the fleet, you're welcome to. We can take you out and you can help us, loud hail.
Can I volunteer for an early shift?
Sure. We haven't built.
Sign me up for the earliest shift.
I'm
and I'll help.
actually on the Portuguese Festival Committee, so
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah, we can take volunteers.
busy on that.
Right.
She'll be doing a bunch of other,
Yeah, I imagine.
but sign me up for one of the earlier shifts with you,
Great.
so I can get up to some other stuff
You
later.
create shifts, absolutely. July 4th, had a great meeting with DPW about the mooring situation, the barge and its location. Let me give you a very brief look at where that is. So, the barge will be, moored here to clear a to clear a 500-foot, actually, I got it. I have enough doc.
July 4th this year.
It's a Friday.
Meaning we close for July 4th.
Oh,
Here's our draft event plan. Per regs, we have to have a 500-foot exclusion zone around the barge. And so based on where the barge is going to sit for best viewing, we'll be putting out buoys and helping folks find alternate moorings, attenuator, whatever, because there are a bunch of moorings in that zone. And it should be a quick show, or not a quick show, but a quick presence of the barge this year. Last year, apparently, it hung around for a long time, being a nuisance to people because of reasons that are not relevant anymore. It'll be gone by the next morning.
great.
So that's July 4th update. And there is a great event, which I think is just coming together, but feels like it's gonna land. And so I do want to give you folks a briefing. And I want to thank Michael Shu for bringing this to town. I'm doing great. So the synopsis is Outstanding in the Field is an organization that does event-based dinners that bring local food together with local people. And so they are coming to Provincetown to highlight our culinary excellence with seafood. Michael and Calliope worked with them at an event last year and got connected with them and thought this was amazing. They should be in Provincetown. We identified that the end of McMillan, the Tea Head, the Tuesday, I believe, of Carnival Week is a great time for everyone. The PBG is gonna.
That's where they're doing it, on the pier?
The PBG identified that as a great day for them. It fills a hole in their event calendar that evening.
Oh, great.
And the canteen will be catering because they've worked with the shoots in the past on raw bars and stuff. So they'll bring the culinary expertise. And it is going to, they're also going to donate, they're thinking like 200 to 300 to 400 people. So it'll be significant nonprofit donations, $10 from each ticket. And they're also that week per pier regulations. The pier is charging them the maximum pier rental rate for that.
So I was gonna ask, so how are they going to have 300 to 400 people sitting at tables on the pier and still have ferry traffic and boat?
They are gonna, we are gonna put a 200-foot long table down McMillan
It's
there.
one long
It's
table.
one long table.
But is that going to interfere with the fishermen?
We are gonna make sure that they can get around it and we're gonna have,
Do the fishermen know about it? Do the fishermen know about it?
The whole fishing fleet has not been informed yet because we're still in the permitting phase. But we're working through those.
They will know about.
And one of the goals is to bring as many of them into the event as possible, either as product sellers or participants,
Yeah.
speakers, et cetera.
And we can still access ice, and there's only 2 boats that are permanently parked there out of the fleet on that tee. And they can still go to their boat.
Yeah.
Oh,
So, especially with advance notice.
yeah, I mean, I'm sure you guys will do your due diligence with that.
Yeah. One thing that gives me confidence about this event, this crew does this in a lot of places, so they're bringing like, it's not,
Yeah.
it's not us doing it, they're
They
bringing
do it on
like,
commercial.
staff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they will be in, out.
Yeah. Okay.
We've had several meetings with them and I was impressed by their operational rigor.
Yeah.
Knowing there'll be impacts, hopefully the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, been very excited about this event and,
No, they're a great organization.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think without too much further ado, I would like to move to, vessel status, the boats are great, mooring status, moorings being sold, dinghy dock status, DJ.
It is still floating. We are, I think we're actually progressing nicely in our permitting. We are around 60 or 55, I think, permits out, which I think last year
And I
was
wanted that.
74. You are. I think it was about 70 some last year, so we're already close on that front, which will be good. And then we are starting to really enforce rules. I would say daily we have like 1 or 2 boats that are permanent, which is pretty good. And then we have kind of our fun little rule sheet that we are going to send out digitally and give out physically to people that have permits. And then also anyone, coming in that needs to better understand the rules.
DJ's handing it out, but.
We can send you a link.
Maybe we could put one of those, like card holder things.
Got
on
it,
the-
yeah. It's gonna
Yeah.
be on the ramp
Oh.
leading to the, yeah. And then, but if we tag someone with like a sticker that says like, welcome unknown
Yeah.
visitor or something, we can also give them rules
Yeah.
so that they are well informed of violations and how those could be brought on.
Flash the boat.
Yeah. And then the big things I think are implementing the restricted length zones, which we talked about a bit at the last meeting. And I know everyone's very excited about so that we can stop having over-advertised boats block too many slots
Yep.
in some of the tighter areas.
Show some data from permits already sold. Thank you, Katie, in our office for inputting this into spreadsheet format. So top chart is length overall. This is the number of boats permitted at 8, 9, 10, 11. See, all so we have 1 17-footer for historical accommodations reasons. It's snuck into the permitting process. We found them their own space that won't be in the way. And so we can just add data labels to this so you can see the numbers. There we go. So that's the bar graph there is the count of lengths. And the first 3 bars are all the 10s and under, and then the remainders are the over 10. And so I have these 2 bars here are 10s and under and over 10. So we do have more boats over 10 than under 10. Sorry
Very
about
few
that.
11s.
Yeah, there's only 1 boat that's 11 feet, and it's probably a rounding error.
So, sorry, did you say you painted already
We're in the process of painting.
Okay.
I had a little setback with some warm weather, and then cold weather, and then humidity.
Yeah.
So we have I'll say sample on the dock currently that is gonna get improved upon because it
Okay,
looks
because
kind of like a 2-year-old did it with a marker at the moment.
last week when I was away, my boyfriend used my boat and I was like, oh, did you put it under the gangway? And he's like, no, I put it right at the end. He was like, so it wouldn't be in the way. And I was like, no. I know, and he was like, no, why couldn't I put it there? There's no sign. And I was like, no, it can't be there. And he was like, how am I supposed to know there? So I went down
Yeah.
to move it and I was like, oh, it actually isn't.
Yeah. I think we wanted to do the rules and signage kind of in one fell swoop. So assuming there's not any like strong pushback on any of these pieces, I think we're hoping to get the signs up in the next 48 hours or so. If we can
Great.
print it, as long as they get printed.
Oh, it looks great.
And basically we would just from the water try to show the arrows of the area where it is
Yeah.
tighter, obviously, and obviously for a little bit, hopefully it'll be obvious
Yeah.
and it'll be clear where the difference is. And then we'll have kind of spots, and we're updating our final cleat updates so that people stop tying on the places they did not.
Yeah.
And then our solve for the engines down or engines up was that we could either put an engine down or an engine up if it was covered. So bucket is one way that some folks have done and is done in other harbors. They also sell prop covers and guards, so people can be bougie if they want.
Yep.
But we'll just push everyone to not have it up, but as long as they have it, some other option. Somebody had a life jacket wrapped around it very securely. That seemed okay. I think as long as like it's completely covered.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would say in regulating that, as long as it's whatever they're doing is effectively covering.
Yeah.
I think we just let people.
Yeah, I think as long as it's not off and.
Yeah.
As long as someone doesn't like, because just even the growth and like corrosion for mine being in the water for a week, I was like, I'm not.
Yeah. Somebody put theirs in a bag and put it down, which was clever. If you're gonna be gone for like an extended period of time.
Yeah.
But and then I think the finding, we have not actually fined anyone yet, but we did lock our first buy later. And they were okay. They
You figure out whose boat that is?
it's a transient person, I think, Pete, right?
Yeah, Christine Maxwell, our deputy harbor master, met with them yesterday morning, and they come to town for a few days and fish, and she encouraged them to find somewhere else to tie their boat up during that time.
It was like a 19.5 foot.
Yeah.
Fishing boat.
Yeah.
Okay.
To all Harbor Committee members, I just emailed out a PDF of the handout DJ has put out. This is a great opportunity to introduce the Harbor Master at provincetown-mac.gov email address. That gives folks like DJ, who the town pecuniously does not issue email addresses, the chance to be communicating with you in official capacity, not use his personal email, and he can also reply back to it. So check.
We
your
could
emails.
probably get you an email
Yes,
if you want it.
but we did get a Harbor Master at, which is a great catch-all now, which a number of us can access. That's going to become like the public face.
Yeah.
It will ensure continuity if you ever get a new Harbor Master once I die. Records. Any other Digging Docs questions or thoughts? We are going to
This
get out of
is
this. At
really amazing. Thank you. I know that this has been like a multi-year frustration for people. This is really wonderful to see how much you guys have accomplished in a very short amount of time. So thank you very much for that.
Cool. Maria on the phone, feedback?
Thank you.
I will.
Wait, hold on. No, you guys are awesome. Thank you. It's been great.
I have one comment that I told myself I was gonna bring up. If possible, I would love, and of course, if there's a work session or whatever, it's different, but if we can try to keep meetings at roughly an hour and a half at the longest.
Yeah.
Because also when Michaela got all of us to join, she did say we'd be meeting monthly, not twice a month. And I think right now there is definitely enough work to meet twice a month, especially having a new harbor master and like a new effective harbor master too, which is great. And so I think, but if we can try to keep meetings roughly at this length.
I
that would
think
be
that we will be
great.
having more presentations like that.
Yeah. And I mean, there will be, obviously,
Yeah.
if we're gonna have some work sessions for chapter 91 stuff and such, then it'll be different. But if we can try to set that precedent, that would be great for me.
How do people, so historically, the harbor committee has either not met in the summer or last year, I think we did once a month. I am happy to keep on this schedule. I'm also happy to do once a month, whatever the majority sort of feels. Or input from staff. Is it helpful to you guys having us meet?
I love the twice a month, 1 hour
Okay,
meeting.
Yeah.
Let's do that
Okay.
more frequently. For
Okay.
shorter is better than less.
Okay. okay, great.
Yeah, I'm fine.
So yeah, let's just say it's from 2 to 3.
And if we find ourselves getting in a rhythm either during the summer, in the fall, or in the winter where we don't need to meet twice a month, we can always change it.
Yeah, we can also, I think, like limit presentations in the future. I wanted to be like very cognizant of Jim as the head of everything, so I wanted to
Yeah.
let him voice his things, but you know, we could limit presentations to 5 minutes. That's usually what we do with historic. And it works pretty well. But yeah. All right.
All right, well, on that note, I make a motion to adjourn.
Is there anything else? No. Right, perfect. I'll second that.
No.
All right.
Yes.
Yep.
Laura? Yep.
Maria.
Yes.
Perfect. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you
Roger.
guys.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you, guys.